The Rec Center's graphic design team hopes to combat this fear with their monthly inspirational posters. These posters are displayed at the entrances of the Rec Center and show various images of women lifting weights alongside inspirational quotes. Chancellor Boschini responded to student concerns via email, where he announced the creation of a Chief Inclusion Officer and Title IX Coordinator. The purpose of this role is to ensure that students can learn in an environment free from discrimination. This is the third annual fun run for Cali's Heroes. There's a 5K as well as a 1K. It's their biggest fundraiser of the year. The TCU Horned Frogs are kicking off the season at Amon G. Carter Stadium this Saturday night against Jackson State. With Kenny Hill winning the competition at quarterback, we'll see just what this offense can do under offensive coordinator Sonny Cumbie. I'm standing outside the TCU library where I'm talking to students about which candidate they're leaning towards for the 2016 presidential election. He caught up with her about 300 yards later, snuck up from behind and held a gun to her head. She said the only reason she was able to escape was that the grip he had around her neck was not tight enough. She said she squatted down and ran for her life. This attack comes as such a shock because it happened in broad daylight. Jamie Dixon has lived up to the high expectations placed on him by the TCU athletic department when they named him head coach of the basketball team. In his first year, the team has had their winningest season in nearly 20 years. I'm standing in the student section of Amon G. Carter Stadium, where students say there's simply not enough seats. If you look behind me, you'll see many empty rows, but that's not the case on game day. Students have reported having to come to the stadium 2 to 3 hours early just to find a seat. A social media campaign has allowed the public to determine the name of the Fort Worth Zoo's new baby gorilla. After nearly 9,000 votes were cast via Twitter and Facebook, the name is officially Augustus, or Gus for short.
Intern Sophia Doumani from TCU found out there's one young lady who's behind Hollywood's bikini boom.
And in New York City, reality TV may have hit an all-time low. Hello everyone, I'm Sophia Doumani, and tonight's finale of The Real Housewives of New York goes where no reality show has gone before. They've been promoting this moment all season long, and finally tonight, the claws and the leg come out. The Tarrant County Sheriff will be decided by a runoff election after no candidate won a clear majority on Tuesday. The grocery store type restaurant offers a cooking station where customers may go to have their raw meats prepared. It's also equipped with a build-your-own sandwich and salad station.
Well, that restaurant does sound great, but I am going to miss those Chili's cheese fries.
Those are so good, but I will say the Eatsies I go to in Dallas is amazing, so I definitely recommend it. Monday's presidential debate sparked conversations long after it was over. One of the more memorable topics was Donald Trump declaring he was smart when Hillary Clinton said he didn't pay federal income taxes. If you're a fan of the hit TV show Scandal, then you're in luck. Judy Smith, the real-life crisis manager who inspired the ABC drama, is coming to TCU tonight. TCU is one of the only Big 12 schools that has not yet gone smoker tobacco free, but that may be changing soon. Some students, faculty, and staff say they're concerned about the effects of secondhand smoke. A student-led initiative is trying to make TCU a smoke and tobacco-free campus, but not all students are in favor of the potential ban.
Yes, it really stinks when people smoke on the wrong places in campus, but that doesn't mean there should be no smoking at all.
But it more than just stinks, it can be deadly. As co-chair of Smoke Free Fort Worth, Dr. Mark Cook is leading his own initiative to ensure that people understand that there is no safe amount of secondhand smoke.
Some 41,000 people are going to die this year in the United States from the results simply of secondhand smoke. The majority of those are going to be cardiac and pulmonary disease.
TCU's current policy allows students to smoke 20 feet away from academic buildings, raising health concerns about clean air on campus.
And so right now with the 20-foot rule outside of entrances and exits, it's really hard to distinguish that line, and it's rare for someone to say, hey, can you please move? I'm allergic to smoke or something like that, because that the policy is not super clear to the campus.
Some pro-tobacco students have come together to oppose making TCU a smoke and tobacco-free campus through social media and small protests. 67 Boot the Ban t-shirts have been sold online to oppose SGA's initiative, but the opposition ultimately failed.
All those in favor? Aye.
An overwhelming majority of SGA members voted in favor of the ban. In order to be implemented in the fall, the initiative must still be passed by the Graduate Student Senate, the Staff Assembly, and the Faculty Senate.
I'd feel unwelcome. I'd probably feel ashamed if I had to sneak out at night and literally walk beyond the emergency blue lights that are all around campus. It's an enforcement method rather than a treatment method.
But leaders of the Smoke and Tobacco Free Initiative say they will not leave students addicted to tobacco with no options.
We are more than willing and excited to offer support groups for students who are quitting.
There's still time for additional input on what a smoke and tobacco-free campus could look like.
The details of the policy haven't been worked out all the way, and so that's why we're asking students and faculty and staff to engage in this conversation of what they want to see in the policy.
But for some, any policy that forces smoking off campus is a loss within itself.
I think if someone has a horrible habit, you should help them get rid of the habit instead of getting rid of them.
If the initiative passes, TCU will become a smoke and tobacco-free campus this fall. I got to meet a third grade girl who has saved over 20 people's lives. Hallie Barnard and her family dedicate their time to helping others in need, but there's still one life that they're trying to save. As Hallie Barnard and her friends get ready for the big race, she knows she'll be taking a different path. While Hallie can start off running like everybody else, a rare disease called Diamond Black Fan Anemia keeps her from finishing. For Hallie, the race for her life is far from over.
We found out when she was 13 months old that she was sick, and we fell apart, and we came back together stronger and said we've got to do something.
In order for Hallie to survive, she must rely on a complete stranger for a bone marrow transplant. Hallie is one of 14,000 people anxiously waiting for a match, and she's been on the wait list for almost 8 years.
Less than 2% of the United States are actually registered to the bone marrow registry. Those who are registered have about a 1% chance of being a match to anyone. The odds are not good.
But Hallie and her family have not given up hope. Elise founded Hallie's Heroes so that her daughter and others alike could find heroes of their own. Heroes who can give them a second chance at life.
It started finding her match, and it was totally selfish. It was me wanting to save her, and she said, "We got to do more, Mama."
Through her sickness, Hallie has spoken to thousands about the importance of registering to become a donor. Hallie's Heroes has found 26 matches for other people with life-threatening diseases.
Every match we find, although it's not Hallie's match, we celebrate it like it is Hallie's match because it's a huge win for us.
I'm blessed that I can be here with you today. When I know there are other kids who are too sick and can't play or go outside and have tea parties and who are in the hospital, I am their advocate.
She's a child that on any given day you would look at and be like, wow, she's not sick. We need her to help redefine what sickness looks like, because people don't see when she gets off the bus and she doesn't feel good and she can't play with her friends. People don't see when she has to take another round of steroids. People don't see when she gets a cold and she misses 3 weeks of school because it's something totally different for her.
To see if you could be Hallie's hero, go to dkms.org to register to become a donor. Swabbing both cheeks will determine if you are a match.
I have life-threatening disease and I need people to swab so that I can live.
Hallie suffers from Diamond Black Fan Anemia, a rare disease that keeps her bone marrow from producing red blood cells. Steroids currently keep Hallie alive, but there's no telling when her body will become resistant. Diamond Black Fan Anemia affects about 800 people worldwide. Because it's so rare, there's not a lot of funding. So many parents, like Hallie's, raise money for research. All of the proceeds for Hallie's Heroes goes towards finding a cure and helping families pay their medical bills. For more information about the organization, visit teamhallieb.org. Thanks, Luke. Some TCU students say they feel categorized by the color of their skin. I sat down with 2 students who've experienced this issue firsthand. Many students come to Texas Christian University with the hopes of fitting in and being accepted by their peers, but that's not the case for everyone.
There have been people who don't like the way we talk or the way we look, and like I've been told before, like, oh, well, you're pretty for someone who's like Latina or something. And I'm just kind of like, okay, what's that supposed to mean?
Monica Valdez and many other TCU students took to Twitter to express their concerns. The hashtag being a minority at TCU went viral, allowing students to share their experiences on campus, experiences that some students were quick to deny.
It's still going to happen no matter where we go, and we know that, we understand that, but it shouldn't.
Racism happens on campus at TCU, just like it happens everywhere else in the world.
I would get monkey noises. I've had the banana peel. I mean, yeah, and honestly, just being called a Negro. Coming from Europe, growing up in Switzerland, I mean, just from what I had lived, I wasn't so fazed, though I do see it as a very big problem.
That's how the real world works. Like, what did you expect? And it's like, but shouldn't that bother you? Like, that's not how people should treat people. That's not how people should act.
Chancellor Boschini responded to student concerns via email, where he announced the creation of a Chief Inclusion Officer and Title IX Coordinator. The purpose of this role is to ensure that students can learn in an environment free from discrimination.
I think it's important that we prepare students to live in this world. I think if we have you graduate and leave here without prepared to deal with these issues, I think we've done you a disservice.
TCU has implemented a comparative race and ethnic studies major and minor for students to learn about different cultures. They've also started hosting events to get students having the sometimes uncomfortable conversations about the real racial struggles people face today.
I've never been more proud of a community. I'm happy like being at TCU where they're taking the right steps, where they're like, you know what, you're right, this is a problem and we need to do something about it.
Il n'y a pas de honte d'être ignorant, mais bien ne rien vouloir apprendre. And that translates to, you shouldn't be ashamed to be ignorant, but you should be ashamed to not be willing to learn.
Doumbia said he hopes that TCU continues taking steps to keep the conversation going. The TCU Rec Center staff is campaigning against the media's portrayal of the perfect body. They said these types of images can affect women's exercise habits by making them scared of becoming too muscular.
I'd say usually when I come out here, the cardio deck is almost always full of women. And then if I go work out in the weight room, it's almost always men. The ratio is definitely off.
I would say 95% of the women I know stick with cardio.
My mom told me actually, she's like, you need to stop lifting weights because then you're going to intimidate all the boys and like they're not going to talk to you because they're going to be scared of your muscles.
Well, I think they're fearful of bulking up and getting large muscles because I think that's what they think of when they're lifting weights.
The Rec Center's graphic design team hopes to combat this fear with their monthly inspirational posters. These posters are displayed at the entrances of the Rec Center and show various images of women lifting weights alongside inspirational quotes.
We're trying to get rid of this stigma that if women lift weights, they're going to become bulky, so they should only do cardio. Hopefully that kind of just subtly gets across the message.
I lift 6 times a week and I feel stronger and more confident than ever.
Lifting can burn more calories than cardio, strengthen your bones, and make you less susceptible to injuries.
The health benefits cannot be matched by anything else. Cardio cannot do for your body, nor will it ever, what weights can do.
The message is to show women that strong is beautiful. Sophia Doumani, TCU News Now. There are approximately 3.9 million dogs living in shelters worldwide. One local animal shelter took a new approach to get their dogs out of the kennels and into a new home. Thank you. The Fort Worth Animal Care and Control Center hosted their first open adoption at the Z-Bones Dog Park. 50 lucky dogs got to play with potential new family members, turning up the cuteness to try and find a home.
Sometimes the shelter, they're in a kennel and it's hard for them to really showcase how fun and friendly and playful they are. So here they're able to run around, play with other dogs, play with other people. The first adoption that I saw actually was a dog that had been at the shelter for 2 years that found a family right from the get-go.
But for this family who just moved to Fort Worth from Puerto Rico, a new dog is so much more than just a pet.
We left basically everything. We came here with our clothes. It's kind of, hope.
Hope, something 37 dogs went back to the shelter without. The Animal Care and Control Center is working to plan more outdoor events so that the nearly 500 dogs they house can live their lives outside of cages and in the care of a loving owner.
We don't want to euthanize. That's not what we want to do at any point. So if we can partner with foster organizations and rescue groups and anyone that's willing to either adopt or temporarily care for an animal, that can help us make room for others.
The Fort Worth Care and Control Center has a 91% live release rate. If you're interested in adopting or fostering a dog, visit fortworthtexas.gov/animals/dogs.